It's day 6 in the criminal trial for Sean Diddy Combs. Let's take a look at what happened inside the courtroom. Diddy's ex-partner, singer Casandra Cassie Ventura, took the stand with emotional and lurid details about the abuse she faced. Of the most shocking was her description of the freak-offs she said she was forced to engage in for Diddy. These sexual events took place over 10 years and started when she was 22 years old. Ventura said they involved large amounts of alcohol, drugs, and as many as 10 bottles of baby oil. Combs would hire escorts to join in the freak-offs, which could last for days at a time. It would take her days to recover from these events, and she said that it eventually became her full time job and came at the cost of her singing career. She also testified that she often couldn't say no to Diddy because she would be threatened with blackmail and violence. To talk more about Ventura's testimony, let's bring in trial attorney Anne Bremner. Now, Anne, what stood out to you during this testimony about the freak offs? Any kind of surprises? What did you think?
Well, I did see the documentary that came out some time ago about Diddy, and so I wasn't super surprised. But then again, I was. It was so detailed and creepy, and it was 1,000 bottles of baby oil. I think, it's just some of the details and the bringing in escorts and the fact that these were happening like once a week, according to Cassie. Those things surprised me, but she talked about having things taken away from her, but she said that she never really objected. That surprised me. I thought we'd hear more in terms of an objection. Not that that's necessary given the charges, but she said that she wanted to go along with him. She loved him. She wanted to spend more alone time with him, etc., which isn't great for the prosecution.
I was just about to ask you that. Like, do you see from today's testimony, did you see any holes or anything that could make this testimony vulnerable for her, for the defense attorneys?
Yeah, 10 years relationship, starting at a young age, wanting to advance her career. And of course, he would be the one to do it if anybody. And of course, he was your boyfriend, not objecting, and always, it seemed, was participating and not indicating, oh, I won't do that again, or things like that. So those things, especially in light of the video, that we've all seen of him really beating her in that hotel hallway, and the jury's seen it, and they'll see it, and they'll see it again. You think, why wouldn't she leave? On the other hand, is we know with domestic violence victims, and the defense has admitted domestic violence, by the way. They say it's not
That's
trafficking,
right.
it's just domestic violence. But the fact is, you think, why didn't she leave? We also know that often victims are traumatized. It's a cycle of violence, and they feel that they can't get away. So it sounds like she was a great witness overall. They excluded her husband from the courtroom, and I think that was probably difficult for her, but it's basically predictable because they're saying they're going to call him as a witness, so he can't say
Right.
it.
What did you think? Because something that stood out to me is that she testified that she admitted that she was a jealous girlfriend in the beginning of the
Right.
relationship, that she was jealous. For me, that's something that I think defense attorneys can certainly tie in to say, "Oh, maybe not, it wasn't just when you were young," and that's something that they can bring in as maybe a characteristic. What do you think?
Yeah, very jealous. A lot of jealous fights and being wanting to be with him alone. And then basically she would participate to get alone time with him. And so a jury can look at this and keep in mind, I think we have 8 men and 4 women on the main jury. You
Yeah.
know, you have people saying, wait a minute. She did all these things for a reason, that she wanted to be with him. She's really jealous, and maybe it's jealousy now. And by the way, what about the money? They're going to say, well, she filed that lawsuit that settled in one day. What about these other people that want money? He's worth so much money. It'd be a terrible way to live, to be Diddy and have people just want you for your money. So they could look at that too, the jurors, and say, I don't know, in terms of credibility. But the prosecutors, all female team, they believe in her and they put her up right away for that reason.
Yeah. And another thing that came out kind of unexpectedly in the middle of her testimony while she was talking about these freak offs was that she said that Diddy left in the middle of one of
Right.
these events to go confront rival music producer Suge Knight. Now, Knight is in jail for charges not related to his label, but he's had a history of arrests related to these music rivalries. Do you think Cassie mentioning that and mentioning him now opens the door for more investigations and potentially more charges for Diddy?
Yeah, potentially. Maybe she mentioned that to talk about the fear, that because she said that she was given a gun to go to that meeting. And we know Suge Knight is in prison for a homicide. He ran over somebody, allegedly. Well, he was convicted, ran over somebody a number of times and killed him. So maybe that's part of it, to say, I was fearful, these rivalries, these suspicions about these heavy hitters in this music industry, hurting each other, killing each other. She could say that. The other part is maybe we go down a whole nother road of activities of Diddy's like this and much worse.
That's exactly what I was thinking, is that there's been rumors, right? That was he
Right.
involved in such and such crime. Now
Right.
is this, the door is opened?
Yeah. I mean, I thought, oh no, I mean, it's one thing to be a creep and to be a perversion, as a person, and to misuse people and to use people and coerce people and all that kind of thing. It's a whole nother thing to kill somebody and, do it more than once, things like that. That's not part of this case. So I don't think that the defense wants a specter of that in the courtroom right now.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Anne, for joining me today. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.